Welcome back to Flame's Pyro Art for Beginners. Today I wanted to take a little look again at lettering, writing words on wood. That in itself is a skill that we learn. So I thought we'd have a little look today. I've got my largest ball tip by the Optima, and I've stenciled out obviously the word love and some other letters I've started. And what I wanted to touch on today was how we create beautiful, neat letters. It's much like all the other styles of art we create, in that we take a time in building up the layers of heat to get to a level of darkness that we want to go to. We can't just crank our machines up to really hot, as we would just basically touch down on the wood and just char it and make a mess. So we have to build our way up to the required darkness. I mean, once I finish this letter, this word, it will be quite dark lettering. As I say, you have to take your time and gradually build your way to that shading. So I'll just do a quick 10 or 15 minute video of how I go about writing really neat, lovely fonted words. This word, I used an app called Studio, which you can get on your mobile phone. It's free, and they have some really lovely fonts in there, and you can just select a template, put text in of what you want to add to your piece of art, and then choose a font that you like the style of. I mean, I love all these swirly fonts personally myself, but there are many fonts in there to choose from. And when you do use the app, if you select either portrait or landscape template, that is pretty much the size of a standard piece of printer paper. So it gives you sort of some like aspect ratio of what size your lettering is going to come off at. I'm gradually turning the heat up on this large ball tip. Remember, with the different sizes of ball tip, as this one is a large one, it'll require you to turn the dial up higher to get the shading into the wood. Whereas if I was using my smallest ball tip, I'm at setting just over 3 now on the Optima. If I was using setting 3 on my smallest ball tip, I would be burning very dark and possibly even charring the wood and making a mess of it. So always set off when you're doing lettering with whatever tip you're using. Set off on your heat lower rather than higher, because lower is easier to correct than if you turn it up too high to begin with. You have no room for maneuver bar getting out the sandpaper, and that's something you want to really try and avoid, doesn't it? You don't want to be having to sand back down and then re-stencil all your letters back onto your wood again and start the whole project all over again. So come at it from the lower end, see what shade it's putting down into the wood. I mean, this is very light shading, still at setting 3. And you can gradually work your way up through the dial, just slowly turning it up until you find that perfect heat for you to work with. And remember, pyrography, it's not about, when we say wood burning, we don't mean actually like burning the wood. It's all about just kissing your pen over the top of the wood, just gliding it over gently, not pressing down with any pressure, just letting the heat of the pen, the weight of the pen really, just dictate the pressure that I'm applying. I'm not pressing down in any way, shape or form. And we gently just go over the surface of the wood. And with the heat that we've got built up in our pen tips, it will shade the wood. And trust me, with the shading at different depths of shading, you can create some absolutely amazing, really detailed artwork. You know, as good as pencil or paintbrush artists, you know, you can create that level of artwork once you master the techniques. Lettering is quite a good starting point really, because it helps you to get a feel for your pens. And it can look really nice once done. If you write really nice lettering out, it can look beautiful. So as you can see, this pen is heating up quite nicely now, and I will make many passes over each letter as I build and build more layers of heat, and the wood gently and gradually begins to darken more and more. So a great tip for all new pyrographers out there is always work with your pen at a heat that you have full control over. Never let the pen dictate to you how fast you should be moving or how dark it is. You want to always dictate the shading and the speed that you move at. So many new pyrographers do make the mistake of wood burning on too high a heat setting. When the burning words, they think that burning letters is like a 5-minute exercise, when in fact, if you want to do it really beautifully, it can take a couple of hours to get all the letters, you know, perfectly the right width. And you know, you can put little effects to them. You could make them look more 3D and everything. There's so many different things you can do. You don't have to just fully darken your letters. You could possibly leave an effect like it's like sort of gold, and there's a glisten, you know, to the letters. There's all sorts of things you can do. There's your imagination. I mean, I've been creating pyrography for maybe a little over 2 years now, and there is still no way that I could write lettering as neat as what I could if I transferred it from a printed piece of paper. So always just get an app like Studio, which is free. Write your text on your phone, send it to your printer at the size you want, cut it out, and you will end up with something like this. You place that over your wood, put your graphite transfer paper underneath, go round all the letters, and it will leave you with a graphite outline of all the words you've written out. And then we just fill it in. Like I said, I like to spend the time and get my letters really neat and tidy and as perfect as possible. Lettering is one of those things where patienceography is required. You need to have patience to see your artwork come to fruition, to be finished. You know, don't rush. You've got all the time in the world. To do as good a job as you can. If you're still learning how to handle a pen, take your time and get a feel for them. Try and get that steady hand. Stay within the borders of your graphite transfer lines, unless you're wanting to create something a bit more arty than what you've got. That is a basic overview for beginners of how to wood burn words and lettering onto wood. And there are many tips, pen tips in your kits. Hopefully you do have like a ball tip, which is like a writing pen. You can also use other pens for writing. I mean, I could use the extra small space shader, for example, for this, by using the majority of the tip of the pen, which I will probably utilise at some stage of this little project. For now, I just want to get the letters filled in. I'm using the largest tip just so I can shade a larger surface area. Sometimes you will have to use smaller ball tips if your lettering is much smaller. Like I couldn't write these words out with this ball tip, it's just too large. So I did use the smallest ball tip I have, which is pretty much just like a pyro. It's so thin is the tip. And you'll see how I do lift off on my strokes. You know, do a stroke, lift off, do another stroke, and what I'm doing there is, as I'm lifting my pen off the surface of the wood, I'm allowing heat to rebuild back into the pen tip. Whereas if I kept it permanently down on the wood, then it would lose the heat as it's kept on the surface. You see, unless you've got your heat cranked up really high, it loses heat. So you just lift off for a second, and it just puts a little bit of heat back into the pen, and then you can touch down again and lift off, touch down, and so on and so forth. Once you've filled in all the areas that you possibly can with your largest ball tip, then you move down through your sizes till you get to your really finest tip. And that's when you really tighten everything up and make sure it's all you know, correctly in the right width and everything. That does add a more pleasing look if everything is the correct width. So there we have an overview of basic lettering. I'll frame lapse the rest of me wood burning this word love, and you will see it all come together in fast time. Okay, so I hope you all enjoy your wood burning. Remember the key points. Start off from a lower heat range to give yourself the opportunity to have full control. Wood burning is not about burning the wood, it's about shading the wood skillfully to create our art. Okay, so happy pyroing everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to leave me a like or hit subscribe to the channel. The channel is free and always will be, and I will help to take you on a journey of discovery from basic pyrography right up to more advanced level pyrography art. So for those people who are got a real passion for pyrography and, you know, fell in love with it and want to journey deeper, then I've got a good range of videos to help you to advance your skills up to a good level. Okay, see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.